Well, good afternoon. My name is Oliver Blue. A good evening or good morning, depending on where you and when you are viewing this live or recording. And again, my name is Oliver Blue, and I am your temporary guide today as we take a giant step. Today is a huge step towards our goal in this course. And I'm just so excited. I'm just ready to jump right in on this lesson because it is a very important lesson. And I'm going to be your temporary guide. I'm going to commentate on Workbook Lesson 127. It's still your responsibility to read the lesson, meditate on the lesson, and of course, participate in the practice that it suggests for us. If you're going to get all of the mileage out of it, doesn't matter what spiritual journey or spiritual path that you're on. If there's no time of meditation, introspection, contemplation on what is being brought forth, what is being taught, if there's no practice of the idea, then how would you ever learn to have the experience of it? And so today is day 127 on our journey of transformation, on our commitment to be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed, as Romans says, by the renewing of our mind. So the focus is on mind training. Our goal here is mind training, mind reversal, to train our mind, to discipline our mind, to think along the line of reality, that which is true, that which is real. Like Jesus said over in, I think it was Philippians chapter 2, verse 5 and 6. Let this mind be in you that was also in him. Let this mind, there's a mind that we should all have as humanity. Jesus was a human like we was, but there was a mind that he allowed to be in him, that he allowed to operate in him, in order for him to be the master of life as he demonstrated to all of us. No one mastered life like the man Christ Jesus. Nobody did. And so, but he implores us to allow this mind to be in us that was in him. In other words, that's one mind that we all should operate in. He said that when he was in the form of God, when he was in a body, and here you are and I am in a body, but we're still in the form of God. We're appearing in the person of God. We're appearing as a divine and a human entity in the form of God. It says the word became flesh. It dwelt among the people. He says, but that flesh or that mind or that body, it had a mind that it operated in. It's called the mind of Christ. He said, so let this mind be in us that was also in him, who being in the form of God, as he was in a body, so as with us, in your incarnation, in your earthly incarnation, in your bodily incarnation, you're still appearing in the form of God because you are a God. I mean, it's said all over Scripture that ye are gods. We say we're not a God. No, I'm just a sinner. I'm just a human, or I'm just that's because we don't have understanding. We see ourselves in the light of the limitations of these bodies. We identify ourselves as these bodies, and we're not these bodies. But he said that this mind, the mind of Christ, he said, this mind of Christ knows of its equality. It knows that it has equality with God. It doesn't reject that truth. It knows that it has oneness with God. It doesn't reject that. It doesn't resist that reality. It knows that it has the nature of God. It doesn't resist that mind, the mind that Christ operated in, which is the mind of God. It doesn't resist reality. It doesn't resist truth. It doesn't exist its eternal nature. It doesn't exist the reality that this experience that we're having, being divine in our nature, but having a human experience. None of that really matters. What matters is the mind that we operate in. Because the mind that we operate in will determine how we see ourselves, how we see the world, how we see each other, how we engage with one another. It will determine the value that we place on ourselves and on one another, the value we place on this one home that we all are experiencing here called Earth, which is a temporary place of gathering. And we've come here obviously to learn something. And today in Workbook Lesson 127 out of A Course in Miracles, we're going to learn something that is very vital. In fact, it says that today we take the largest single step that this course requires, that this course requires, that this is the single most idea that we need to embrace and understand. This workbook lesson that we're going through today. It says, today we take the largest single step this course requests in our advancement towards its established goal. And what is our goal? The mind of Christ. What is our goal? Our goal is to undo the ego thought system. Our goal is to undo everything that we have thought about ourselves that is not true, to unload all of the illusionary ideas that we had about ourselves and about each other and about our Creator and about this whole thing called life. And so today is an important day. And so as you have come and joined with me in this session of the workbook lesson in A Course in Miracles 127, we are on day 127. We've been digging in here for 127 days, being taught and being engaged in ideas that are beyond the way we normally think. These ideas has elevated us to a different way of thinking, a different way of perceiving, and a different way of being. And not just a different way, into a way that is true, a way that is light, a way that is life. It is a way that we have hunted and we have sought out in the world to find these natural impulses, to have love and to be loved, these natural impulses, to have joy and peace and happiness in our life, these natural impulses, to have a reason and a purpose for living and a purpose for being, having a desire to understand what it's all about. We have been finding answers to these out of this project that we're on. There's 365 of these lessons. We're on 127, and each lesson is like taking a step higher from one glory to the next level of glory, from glory to glory, like Paul said. So thank you for joining me today. And so it says again that today's lesson is the single largest step that we're going to take. So we got to really focus in on what this lesson is sharing with us and embrace it as our own, because it is our own. And so today, the title or the idea presented today is that there is no love. There is no love but God's. There is no love but God's. In other words, the only love that really exists is God's love. There's not multiple loves. There's not other options. There's no opposites. The only love that exists is the love of God. And it is everywhere present. Remember back in the introductory, before we even started the course, we went through the introductory and we read what it says over here on the introductory. And this introductory almost is like, if we could just understand what this the introduction is saying, we wouldn't have to really go through these thousands of pages of text and workbook lessons and manual for teachers and clarifications of terms and all the other supplements that are in here to help us along the way. If we could just understand what the introduction is saying. And so I'm going to read through it. It's very short, just to remind us. Because as we turn our focus on the topic of love, remember now, our sacred scriptures tells us that what God is love. That word is means present. Love is always present. God is love. God, which is always present, is love. He's omnipresent. So it means love is omnipresent. So that means that God and love is synonymous. It's synonymous. They're one and the same. Or we could also interchange the word reality. Reality is love. Reality is God. God is our only reality. Or we can say that I am is love, because I am is what God is, and I am is what God created when He extended itself. And that which God created, He called the I am. Or He called the Christ. Okay? Learn some things here. Or you could say, God is what I am. That's a true statement you can make about yourself, because God is the one that created you, and God is your only reality, and God is love. So that, and then even the sacred scriptures tells us that everyone that is born of God is born of love. So if you exist, you are born of God or created of God. Whether you accept it, embrace it, or think about it or not, that's a reality. You can't change that. That's an unchanging reality. If you're here with awareness, if you're aware that you are a self or an I, if you are conscious, if you are listening to me, that means you are conscious and you are aware. That means that you are born of God. You are the offspring of the one life that there is, the one self that there is. That's a fact. Not only you, but every living thing that there is. It was created out of the one source, an extension of the one source. And we know the universal principle that what everything produces after its own kind. That includes love, that includes God, that includes reality. So what God creates, what God extends, is like unto Himself. So we are like unto our Creator. We're like unto our universal source. And so over here in the introduction, it says, this is a course in miracles. He's talking about the course. He says, this is a course. This is a course. So we're taking a course. Why? Because we need to learn some things. It says, this is a course in miracles. What is a miracle? It says it is a required course. Required only means that this is not the only course. It means that what is contained in the course is required that we learn it. All humanity, regardless of where you are, where you're born, what nation you're in, what color, creed, sex, what your gender is, what your political persuasion, it doesn't matter. What does matter is that we all have to learn these required realities while we're here in time and space. It says it is a required course, and whether you're prepared or whether you agree with it or not, life will bring the classroom for you to learn these things. Whether it be you individually, or you in a family, or you in a corporation, or you in an organization, or you in a community, or you in a whatever, wherever you find your status in life right now, you are in a universal classroom, and there's universal principles, there's universal realities that you must learn. You can resist them, but you must learn them. You might decide that you don't want to learn them, but you must learn them. You might decide that, you don't want to learn them now. That's okay. But you and I and all humanity are placed here, or found ourselves here, and our way out of here is to learn something. Your way out is to learn something. And so it says that it is a required course. It says only the time you take this course is voluntary. In other words, we do of our own free will determine when we want to learn what needs to be learned. You can volunteer when you learn the content of what you need to learn. But you don't get to determine what the content is. You don't get to determine what has to be learned. It says free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. We can establish. Life is here, and we are here to learn something. There's something that we have to know, something that we need to know. And it says that it's required. But free will allows you to choose when you decide to learn it. That's why you see some of us live 60, 70 years before we finally decide to wake up to the truth and discover some realities. Some of us learn it early. Some of us learn it what they call midlife crisis. It doesn't matter. It's up to us. We are given that choice. But I am here today to say today is the day that you should and can choose to wake up to the reality of what you need to know. It says it means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. So we do get to choose what we want to take at a given time. It says the course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love. For the meaning of love is beyond what can be taught. Love is so infinite. Love is all-encompassing. So it is in course here says it's beyond learning. It's beyond what can be taught. It didn't say beyond learning. It's beyond what can be taught. So if love can't be taught, that tells me that love can only be experienced. And the part of that experience is the learning. The part of that experience is what we're engaged in right now. It said the course does not aim. However, it says the course does aim. It doesn't aim at teaching love, but it does aim at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is our natural inheritance. So this course that we're taking in miracles is a course in undoing. It's a course in removal. It's not a course in doing, it's a course in undoing. It's a course in removal. It's a course in remembrance. And so what we're removing are blocks. Blocks represent that which obscures reality, that which veils the truth, that which comes in the way of our understanding or our comprehension, that which blinds us to our true identity, that which keeps us from the light that we all share, that which appears to be an option or an alternative to that which is true. Those are blocked. They're blocked. Our resistance is a block. Our loving darkness is a block. Our loving to be asleep is a block. Our loving our traditions, our loving our perception of ourselves that is way below, way out of line with our reality. Our being afraid of the truth, that's a block. Religion is a block. Politics is a block. This whole world was designed to be a block to the awareness of love presence. Notice that the block is to the awareness of love presence. That means that love's presence, love is always present. Love is always here. Love is all there is. David says, in thy presence, what presence? In God's presence, in love's presence. He said, what? There's fullness of joy. In what? And there's what? Treasures forevermore. So when the blinders are removed, when the scales are removed, when the veil is lifted, when all that is false, when all the illusions are released, when all the credence, when all that we have given our heart to, that is not of light, which is not of love, when all that is what removed, and all that there is all that there was always there, love's presence. At night, when you finally, after a long day of work or whatever your activities were, after a long day of grind, when you finally at night in the privacy of your bedroom, a home, a bathroom, when you finally shed everything of that day, even your clothes, when you finally undress yourself completely, what is revealed is what was always there. Wasn't revealed to the public, but it was always there. And so what happens when you completely unclothe yourself of what the world has conditioned us with, what religion has have required of us, what we see and thought to be the truth in reality, when we unclothe ourselves of all this that we have what layered ourselves with, what is revealed is our true identity. What is revealed is love's presence, that we are love. What is revealed is that we are love. That you are love, I am love. That love is all there is. That this entire world is love. Regardless of what our experiences have been, regardless of what our hurts and pains have been, regardless of how we have felt misused and abused and abandoned, how we have felt betrayed, how we have been violated, how we have been treated unfairly, how we have been what do they call it? How we've been as a race. Uh, have we not been given equality? That's what I'm thinking about. How prejudice have run rampant within the world. How history have taught us to repeat itself. That is a huge block. If we keep repeating but the same mistakes, we keep thinking the same way, we keep perceiving in the same way, and we're making no progress. Humanity has made a tremendous progress in the area of technology and in the area of a lot of different areas in life. We've progressed. Humanity has, but we have not progressed in the way we think. We have not progressed in the way we perceive ourselves. But we have strongly taught ourselves that separation is a reality. That we stand as separate beings. That we stand as individuals with individual agendas, with individual purpose, and that we have to compete, and that some have to win and some have to lose. That some are judged by the content, by the color, by their nationality, by their race. There's judgments and levels and degrees and all of the things that the world has just taught us and have made a mess out of these thousands and thousands of years. Whereas we find ourselves here in 2022, where the world is more polarized and segregated and divided than it's ever been. But we have technology, we have entertainment, we have tennis shoes, we have fashion. So we've advanced in all these other areas. We have yachts, we have skyscrapers, we have all kinds of technology. What remains the same is humanity's way of thinking of himself, the way he perceives himself, his self-worth, his self-esteem, his self-value, the way he sees himself as an individuated, made self, that is separate from all other cells and separate from God. And this whole concept of separation, or what we call the ego, it is the cause. It is the cause of all the tragic, all the pain and the suffering that we have experienced in life. That is what the cause is. And it's in our thinking, it's not perception, it's not out there. It's because it's in here. We project it out there. It's because war and fighting and separation and division is in here. We project it out there. And so we have to come back to the source. That's why we're going through this training. This is why we're going through this course. So that our minds can be transformed, so our mind can be renewed, so that we can have the point of view of God, the point of view of love, so we can have the mind of Christ. So we can have that mind, like Jesus said, let this mind be in you that was also in him. Why? There's a mind for humanity. If humanity wants to live its best life, if humanity wants to really be the light of the world, if humanity wants to really experience what it is that he is, or her is, or it is, there's a mind that it takes to walk in that. And it's called the mind of Christ. And in that mind of Christ, we understand and embrace that here we are in these bodies, in these forms, appearing as the person of God, like Jesus said. Let this mind be in you that was also in Christ, in Philippians 2:5. Being in the form of God, while he was standing there as a man, he said, being in the form of God. So humanity and divinity has become one. He was the Son of Man and the Son of God. And that only means that there's only one. He didn't see two. He saw one. That there's only love. And so he says, being in the form of God, he thought it not robbery to be equal. So Jesus understood that he had equality with God. He understood that he and God was one. I and the Father are one. When you've seen me, you've seen the Father. There is no difference. You are here in your incarnation now, and you have the right, and you have the ability. And now you're getting the insight that is who and what you are, and you have the same equality. Jesus is no different than you. You have the same equality with God as Jesus did. He was nothing special. You are nothing special. We're all one. We all share the same life. We all share the same love, the one love. We all share the same self. And God in his creation called that Christ. Christ only means what? The one. That's why I said, if any man be in Christ, you have to ask yourself, are you in Christ? Are you in the one? Are you in the one love? He says he's a new creation. Humanity and divinity become one. Old things have passed away. Behold, all things are brand new. So in every moment, in reality, you are brand new. Every moment of your reality, and your reality is in eternity. In every moment of your life, now, not off in the future, there is no future. Not in the past doesn't exist. Only thing that exists is this present moment. So when we remove the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, in every moment, you are love's presence. In every moment, you are the fullness of God. You are to the praise of his glory. And so let's get on to the lesson. But let me finish here. It says, well, this course, its aim is to removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. So each lesson helps us to remove those blocks that we have put before us. Old wives' tale, old religious ideas, anything that has its origin in the belief in separation. They come in so many millions of forms. And here we are in 2022. And all of the blocks that our ancestors had weighed upon them, we here find ourselves now removing not all of the blocks, every last one of them. So that what? We see that the light that we are indeed, you are indeed the light of the world. And all suffering and pain comes as a result of us denying that, of us resisting that, of us saying, no, that can't be true. That only was for one man, not for me. It is for you. You said it can't be true. Look what they have done to my people. Look what they have done here, and look what happened there. Well, that's all part of the bamboozle. That's all part of making the error real and to keep you believing in the darkness and only looking in the darkness. Well, the light has come. The light has come, and that light is very simple. The course is called the miracle. He said, this is a course in miracle. And so what the miracle is when we have a shift in our perception, when we have a shift in our understanding. That's what the miracle is, a shift in perception. When you start looking from God's perspective, when you shift your perception from what you made or from what the world made into that which is one, the one love, everything changes. Everything externally changes. Everything internally changes. Just through a tiny shift in your perception. And so today, again, as it says, this is our natural inheritance. We have inherited this. What? Love's presence. We are love's presence. We are pure presence. We are the innocent, holy home of God. That's what we are. See, part of the block was thinking you were the sinner. Part of the block is thinking sin is real. Part of the block is thinking that hell is real. Part of the block is thinking that darkness is real and evil is real. Part of the block is believing that there's an enemy that is real. Part of the block is all of that we've been taught to keep us focused on something that is nothing. That creates fear and creates anxiety and creates guilt and judgment. I'm here to tell you, it is so simple. It is so simple. It is not complex. The ego thought system is complex. Religious systems are complex. Governments and nations are complex. But when it comes to reality, it is very simple. When it comes to God, it is very simple. When it comes to love, love is the most simplest thing that there is. It's not complicated at all. But in the world that we have seen and have experienced, it's the most complicated thing there is. We can't find it. We can't hold on to it. We can't keep it. I'm here to tell you today. Out of Workbook Lesson 127, it's very simple. He says it's so simple, he said that it is our natural inheritance. In other words, if we would just relax in the truth, if we would just relax in this truth of who we are, our true identity, if we would just relax in our innocence, relax in our joy and the happiness that's already present. Everything is present. It's love present. The awareness that love is present. If we understand that the image and likeness that we are is no different than what our Creator is, that we are aware of all of this. We've always been aware of it, and you'll always be aware. You'll always be conscious. But not to focus on an object. To be conscious, there doesn't need to be any object. Before there was any object, he was conscious. Before there was any creation, he was aware. You are awareness and consciousness itself. You are. I am. God is. That is what makes us just like, or that's what brings us to an awareness that we share the same consciousness and the same awareness that God is. It's just that God has no blocks. We put up blocks. and all he sees what? Purity. That's why Jesus said over there in Matthew that what? The pure in heart, the one that has removed all the blocks. It has nothing to do with sin. It has nothing to do with what you can do. Nothing, because see, nothing can separate you from this. Nothing. You can't do anything to separate yourself from this reality. He said, but once you remove the blocks, he said, the pure in heart shall see what? Shall see love, shall see God. You are the pure in heart. I am the pure in heart. As we what? As we what? Lay down all that we have what? Added on to us to cover up, to layer us down, to weigh us down, to burden us down with ideas that are not true, that are not real. And most of these ideas have come out of the religious community. Sad to say, religious ideas from well-meaning people, people that we admire. But they weigh us down with these ideas of separation, these ideas of sin and guilt, sin, fear, and guilt consciousness. You know, systems, practices, you know, ideas, got to do this, got to give that, got to be here, got to do that. No, all you got to do is relax. Once you relax into your true identity, that's all it takes. Then you have the direct experience. You don't need anybody to teach you that anymore. You have no need for a teacher. Your teacher is within you. You have no need for structure and levels and these titles and all of this structure and all this stuff that we get all caught up in. Eventually, we just get frustrated with it. I understand. I used to be a part of that. But anyway, we're just gonna focus on this. I was going down a little rabbit trail. Forgive me. It says, this is our natural inheritance. It is natural for us to be aware of love only. Natural. It's our natural habitat. It's like it's natural for a fish to be in water. It's natural for us to be in God, to know that we are God, that we are one with God, that we have equality with God, that we are the holy home of God, that we are guiltless and sinless and innocent, and we're free, completely whole. We are holy. We are free. Who the Son sets free is free indeed. How does the Son set you free? The Son sets himself free. When he embraced and relaxed in these realities, you set yourself free. When you embrace your true identity. It says the opposite of love is fear. In the sacred text, it says fear has torment. Fear is tormenting. Any level of fear is tormenting. It's suffering, psychological, mental suffering. Physical suffering comes from fear. And it says the opposite of love is fear. It says, but what is all-encompassing? And love is all-encompassing, meaning that love is everywhere present. And so if love is everywhere, there's no room for nothing else. If love is everywhere present, there's no room for nothing else. And so we would have to fall asleep, fall into a trance, fall into a dream, hallucinate that there's something else. Because there is nothing else. It's all-encompassing. Love is everywhere present. Love is everywhere. God is everywhere. And if you share that one entity, and you do, and I do, we share the same being. It's called Christ. That's just a term for us to identify that all things have been what? Reconciled into the one thing. God was in Christ, but reconciling what all things into himself, all humanity into himself. So we're all part of this oneness. We're all part of the oneness, the one life, the one self, the one being, the one God. So now we've been given this ministry of what? Reconciliation, that God was in Christ reconciling the world for himself. And so we go out as ambassadors and what? We become the light of the world, that God has reconciled everything back into the one thing. That there are no blocks to be removed. There's no more veil to rent. There's no more crucifixion that is required. And it wasn't even required. That we are absolutely standing in the presence of love right now. We are standing in eternity right now. He says, the opposite of love is fear. And we know the Bible said that fear has torment. There is no fear in love, it says it over in 1 John. There is no fear in love, because love is all-encompassing. It says, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposites. So there's love and there's nothing else. There's God and there's nothing else. There is no opposite. So what we see in the world, what we experience in our own life, that is that is opposite of love, or opposite of God, it has to be a dream. It has to be an illusion. It has to be a vain imagining. It has to be hallucination. I don't care how real it seemed, how hurt it felt. Doesn't matter. In reality, it doesn't exist. It does not exist. The only thing exists is love. You are love. That's why he said, everyone that is born of God is what is not born of God. He's the originator of all things. He said, everyone that's born of God is born of love. You are love. You are lovely. You are loveliness. That is who you are. So let me get over to the lesson. Wow. Oh my God. I'm feeling this. Are y'all feeling this out there? Let's get back to the lesson. 127. Lesson 127. So today's lesson is, there is no love but God. I think I've made that point quite clear. There is no other love. There are not multiple loves like we've been taught. There's not agape and phileo and philemon and all the different things different arenas teach. There's only love. There's only God. God is our only reality. God is, our love is, and there is nothing else. Just think about that. Just think about that. That God is, and there is nothing else. That means that if you are conscious and if that you are aware that you are part of that, God is. Because God is consciousness and awareness. The removal of the blocks is what needs to take place in your life and my life. So the awareness of love's presence, which means God is. That you are. That I am. That's why we say I am. As you're a conscious being. Because you are conscious. That's why you always think of yourself in the what? In the light of I. I. In other words, I is congruent with the reality that you are conscious, that you are aware, that you are God. I know this is a high idea, but it's the right idea. It's the God idea. It's your reality. The same way that Jesus says, I am, you are I am. That's why in many cases, when you get ready to speak about anything, you say, I. When people ask you, who are you? You say, I. Because you are aware, because you are conscious. If there's one thing that you're absolutely sure of, is that you are absolutely sure that you exist, that you are conscious, and that you are aware. You are sure of that. You may not be sure why or for what, but you are absolutely sure that you exist. You are absolutely sure about that. There's no doubt about it. I am. That I am basically means presence. I exist presently. See, removing of the block, the awareness that what love is present. I am love and I am present. Say that about yourself. I am love and I am present. How does that feel? So today we're talking about there is no love but God's. Perhaps you think that different kinds of love are possible. Perhaps you think there is a kind of love for this and a kind of love for that. A way for loving one person and another way for loving another. This is the way we've been taught. This is the way we've been conditioned. This is the way we've been trained by the world. It says, love is one. There are no multiplicities to love. There's no complications to love. There's no complexity to love. Love is one. The greatest comprehension about love is its oneness. Love is one. The greatest comprehension about God is that God is one. The greatest comprehension about yourself is that I am one. Not one separate and alone and divided from something else, but you are one with everything. You are one with everything. You are part of the singleness that exists. Jesus said it. When the eye is single, when we're looking through the perspective of oneness, that's what he's talking about. He said, but the whole body is full of light. When you understand, when you remove the block, that you are not this separated self, you are not this divided self, you are not this part of this multitude of different selves, but you're part of the one. When you remove those blocks, the only thing that is left that will reveal to you is oneness. That you are part of a shared self. You are part of a shared being. You are part of a shared entity. That is love. It says love is one. It has no separate parts and no degrees. It has no kinds or different kinds. It has no levels, no divergency. Love doesn't divert. Love is. It said it has no distinctions. It said it is like itself. Love is like itself. God creates like itself. God created like himself or itself. God created like itself. God created itself and called itself I am, and call itself Christ. That is your identity. Not when you was formed in your mother's womb, but like he told Jeremiah, I knew thee before you was formed in your mother's womb. In other words, this love, this self we're talking about is a timeless self. It is outside of time and space. This self that we're talking about is a formless self. It is outside of form. It is before any form. Jesus said, before the world was, I am. See what he was saying? Do you understand that? Before the world was, you are. You existed. You've always been in existence. You've always been the bornless. You've always been the deathless. You've always been the eternal. You've always been the changeless, the unalterable one. You've always been a part of the one thing. You have. This experience of being some individual self is only a momentary play with the idea of separation because it's not real. This individual self that you think that you are is not, it's an illusionary self. That's not a bad word. That's not a that's not a judgment to put you down. No, what we're saying here is understand what you are. Understand who you are. Don't let the limitation of appearing and seemingly appearing in a limited body get you to think that you are not a part and a parcel of the one body, of the one life, that you are something separate on an island of your own, that you got to defend, that you got to grow, that you got to protect. That's all part of the illusion. That's all part of the ego thought system of separation. But even as you appear in the person of God, in the person of Christ, right now, in this what appear to be form, you are appearing in eternity. You have brought time, you have brought timelessness and formlessness into time, into form. That's a part of the one. To what? To be the express image. To what? To wake up all that are stuck in this place of believing that they're what? They're this what? Limited self. You become a savior of all humanity. You become the light of the world. That's why we're here. And we're learning this thing about love. And we're learning this thing about ourselves, that there is love and there is nothing else. It says, it is like itself. Love is like itself, unchanged throughout. You are like yourself. You are unchanged. You are still timeless and formless. It said, it never alters. Love never alters with a person or a circumstance. No circumstance, no condition, no person can alter, no life, no incarnation can alter the reality of love. No person, no place, no thing, no situation, circumstance, or condition can alter your reality. You are the changeless one. It says, it is the heart of God. Love is the heart of God. You are the heart of God. You are the very thought. You are the very mind of God. It says, and also his son. See, and also what God created. Also, what God created is love. You and I are love. Love's meaning is obscure, or it has what? Love's true meaning has been blocked. The blocks have been put up to love's meaning. It says love's meaning is obscure to anyone who thinks that love can change. Love is changeless. You are changeless. To think that love can change or be displayed on different levels or on different degrees or as separate parts, that love can be displayed and altered, that love is fickle, that love can be in one way for one person, another way for another. He says, for anyone to think that way, you have placed blocks before you. 2x4s. That's why he says what? Before you judge your brother, remove the 2x4s that are in your eyes. Remove the splinters, remove the blocks, where you're not filtering reality through the eyes of love, through the eyes of your reality. How can you judge another when you're not looking through a pure heart? This is what he said. When you're not looking through the lens of love, how can you? You can't do it. You can only look through the eyes of separation, and all you see is darkness. All you see is darkness and pain and sickness and fear and intimidation. And all you can do is judge. All you can do is criticize. That's what he said. All you can do is see what is wrong. But Jesus said in Matthew, the pure in heart shall see God. Who's the pure in heart? Those that have removed the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. He say he does not see that changing love must be impossible. It's impossible. And thus he thinks that he can love at times and hate at other times. We all experience that in our own personal experience, where we withhold our love from others because maybe something is, we don't feel fairly right, or we feel like we've been, not treated fairly, or maybe we holding a prejudice against a certain people, a certain race, a certain group, a certain gender. You see in this world how this idea of holding someone in hell, in judgment, holding a grievance, despising another person, despising a race, feeling that one is superior over another. You see this running rampant in the world today. Thinking that we can love at times and hate at other times. And we say we can do that in the name of God. Look how many religious organizations out here that are saying they're doing this in the name of God, and there's no love in it. Oh my God. That's what he's talking about here. We're saying that love can be changed. That's not loving. It said, he does not see that changing love must be impossible. And thus he thinks that he can love at times and hate at other times. He also thinks that love can be bestowed on one and yet remain itself and remain itself, although it is withheld from others. And we can love one person, hate another. How many of us are in our right present moment of withholding our love from others? Who are you withholding love from? Who am I withholding love from? We know it immediately. We know it. If we say, let's pause for 1 minute and think about, who am I withholding my love for? All of us will have names come up in our minds because we have work to do. And so that's why we suffer. That's why we feel the pain of separation. That's why we feel the ill feelings of separation, because we're not embracing love. Love must be total. Love must be total. Love is all encompassing. And it says, to believe these things of love or about love is not to understand it. So to believe that love can be like separate and divided and applied in one way and not applied in another, to believe all this, these are the blocks that we have placed in our thinking through conditioning. He said, we don't understand love, and we desire to have the experience of it. It's a deep desire for us to love and be loved. Why? Because that's what we are. That is what we are. And then we it's like it runs away from us. We can't have the experience of it. Why? Because the mind that we're using is not the mind of Christ. The way we're thinking, the way we're perceiving. It's a mind that is it is an enmity, or is opposed to these truths. And that's why we have to take the mind into this workbook lessons. That's why we have to take the mind through this course and get the mind to change its course, to change its mind. And we have to do this. We have to do this. It will not do it on its own. No amount of dancing or singing or shouting, or no amount of tithes and offerings or giving, or all the religious things that we do, none of those things will renew your mind. The only thing that renews the mind is the truth. The truth that is true always. Forgive me. And that's what we're in these lessons. Using the truth, using the only truth that sets us free, to bring the prodigal mind back into oneness. We have to do it. It says, if it could make such distinctions, It would have to judge between the righteous and the sinner. If love was that way, if love was really the way we think it is, it would have to what? Judge between the righteous and the sinner and perceive that what God created, which is us, in a separate part, that we're separate from our Father. So it's impossible to change. Love can't be changed. Love cannot judge, as it is one itself. Love is one. So what is it? It's nothing to judge. It looks on all as one. Love sees all as the same, as one. It says its meaning lies in oneness. Guys, this is why it said over here, today's lesson is the largest single step this course requests in our advancements toward its goal of mind reversal. I'm speaking to all humanity right now. If we're ever going to collectively experience the love, the joy, and the peace that we all so desire, it's only going to come as a result, as an effect of us renewing our mind to this reality that love is oneness, that there is only one, that there is no love but God, that we're all a part of this one love, that love meaning lies in our oneness, our sameness, our sharedness. That's the only way. Politics, religion, social issues, social communities, none of these things can solve the world's problems. Only the revelation of our true identity can solve the world's problems. And we have to make that happen one by one as each one of us wake up to these realities in your own life. Some of you guys have been on spiritual paths all your life, and you're still searching for yourself. You're still searching for the peace of God. You're still searching to be accepted by God. You're still accepted to be accepted by the world. And it's a never ending. It's not even there. Turn within. Everything that you are looking for has been there all the time. You are it. You are what you've been looking for. You are what you've been desiring. You are what you've been wanting to experience. You are it. Love, presence, pure presence is who you are. You are the Christ. You are the creation of the living God. You are one with the living God. Not in the future, not in the past, but right now. That's the way it's always been. As it was in the beginning, it's now and whatever shall be. That's what you are. Its meaning lies in oneness. And it must elude the mind that thinks of it as partial or in part. The mind that we have, that we brought to this course, it thinks in partiality. It thinks in separation. It thinks in division. It thinks it's been trained by this world. And this world has been created as a what? As a huge block to the truth. And so there is no love but God's. And all of love is His. There is no love but God, and all of love is His. So if there's any love to be had, you would have to be a part of God. And you are. And you are. It's not out there. It's in your awareness that love is present. And you are part of that love, that you appear in the person of God right now as loveliness, as beauty, as the express image of love, as the light of the world. It says, there is no other principle that rules where love is not. Love is a law without an opposite. There is no opposite. So all that we are experiencing in suffering, all that we are experiencing in this feeling of separation and aloneness, and all that we experience in sickness and disease and pain and anguish and anxiety, all of that is our only, all of that is our own attempt to find love in places where it's not. It's not outside of us. It is us. There is no opposite. There's no principle. There's no rule where love is not. Love is a law without an opposite. Its wholeness, its completeness, its all-encompassingness is the power holding everything as one. The link between the Father and what the Father created, which is you and me, which holds all of us, both of us, forever as the same. You are no different than your Creator. I know this is a very, very high and mighty idea, but it's the truth that sets you free. Nothing else has set you free. Your acceptance of the truth of who you are as a part of this one love is the only thing that can set you free. That's where freedom resides. That's where God placed freedom, in your knowing of this. It is in the knowing of your true self that your freedom lies. And nothing in the world really offers you this freedom that you're really looking for. That's why nothing in the world satisfies. Only for a moment, only momentarily. And then we're off to the next thing, and then the next thing, and then the next thing, and to the next thing. Why? We're still looking for love outside ourselves. No course whose purpose is to teach you, or no religion, or no idea, whose purpose is to what? Teach you to remember what you really are, could fail to emphasize that there can never be a difference in what you really are and what love is. See, anything, any form, any effort to teach you that you are any different than what love is, it's error. It's teaching you separation. It's teaching you to suffer. It's teaching you to believe in death, and believe in fear, to believe in separation. It's teaching you to make of God an unloving father. I don't care what form it's in. I don't care what name it comes under. If it says it right here, it says no course or no path or no idea. It says no, that teach you to remember what you really are, can fail to emphasize that there can never be a difference. There is no difference in what you really are and what love is. You are love. You are God, because God is love. And anyone that teaches you anything else less than that, they're not teaching you the truth. They're not teaching you the truth. I don't care where it's coming from. Love's meaning is your own. What love means is what you are. And it is shared by God Himself. Love is shared. For what you are is what God is. See? There is no love but God's. And what God is everything that there is, including you and me, in all creation. But when the blocks are here, it reinterprets this reality into separation, And it creates a mind that believes that separation is real, that individuality is real. And along with that belief comes all the ills, the suffering, the anxiety, the pain, the death, all of the things that we have observed, all of the things that we have experienced that we know is not love. All of the division, all of the hatred, all of the vitriol, all of the lies that are being promoted, all of the supremacy. One race is think they're supreme over another. Nations that are invading other nations. All of the killing, all of the destroying, all the way through the history of humanity. The reason it has happened is because we have rejected the truth of who we are as love and have embraced the lie that this world has been designed to teach us, to keep us living the lie, promoting the lie, building systems on the lie. I'm here to tell you, this is the cause of it all. I'm here to tell you, this is the answer to it all. The answer is found in the place where the error was made. So that's why we have to go back to where the original error was made, where we collectively, as God's creation, somehow, some way, entertain a tiny mad idea that we could be separate from our Creator. The separation is a reality. That individuation is a reality. That we don't share the same oneness, that we don't share the same being, the same life that God is, that we are something separate and apart from God. That's the place that the error was made. We go back to that place today and say that that the tiny mad idea did not happen. There is no separation. Love has not been broken into billions of pieces. God has not fallen off the wall and now can't be put back together like we hear in the fable, the story of Humpty Dumpty. Love has not been changed. God has not been changed. You have not been changed. There's only a dream of being changed. There's only an illusion of being changed. There's only a wild imagining, thoughts of imagining what it would be like. Hallucination. But the light has come. Truth has come. And we have to, you have to, I have to embrace this at one meant for myself. I have to accept the atonement for myself. I have to embrace the reality that nothing has happened. I remain as God created me. I remain as the sinless, innocent, guiltless creation of God. I remain in the very heart of God, as one with God, as a part of God's own heart, as a part and parcel of God's own being. I have to embrace it for myself. You have to embrace it for yourself. Or you continue to wander as the prodigal son or daughter in dreams of separation. But today is the day of reality. It says here today, remember we started this out by saying today we take the largest single step this course requires in our advancement towards the establishment of the goal. The goal is peace. The goal is peace. Peace comes through what? An awareness. It comes through consciousness. It comes through an understanding. It comes through comprehension. David said, "Get in all you're getting, what? Get understanding." Well, this lesson is bringing a grand understanding about oneness, the grand understanding that there is no love but God's. There is no love but His, and what He is everything there is. There is no limit placed upon love. There is no limit placed upon God. There's no limit placed upon you. And so are we unlimited as well. The limitation that we feel, the limitation that we sense, the feeling of being limited, the feeling of being trapped in this body, this feeling and this sense of isolation, this sense of being in a body is only because we have chosen this body identification over our real, true, divine identification. So we get a sense that that's what it is, but that sense don't make it real. It just makes it an experience that we're having, a temporary experience. But the only way out of that temporary experience, the only way out of the temporary experience is through the embracing of the reality. And so no law the world obeys can help us grasp love's meaning. No laws in the world can really help us understand what love is. What the world believed was made to hide love's meaning. See, the world is something else. And when I say the world from a course perspective has nothing to do with anything other than what? Our false belief in a false self. In a false self. Our belief in something that is other than God. And so within that world, there are systems built on that idea. But it's in our thinking. The world is in our thinking. And so it says, it is designed to hide love's meaning from us and to keep us, dark and secret. And to keep the reality of love dark and secret. There is not one principle the world upholds but violates the truth of what love is and what you are as well. Seek not within the world to find your true self. It's not there. It's not in that idea. The opposite of your true self is in the world. Love is not found in darkness and in death. The belief in darkness, the belief in death, love is not found there because that's not where it is. It says, yet it is perfectly apparent to the eyes that see and the ears that hear. It's apparent what? Love's voice. It is perfectly apparent to the eyes that see and the ears that hears love's voice. That it's not out there. What you're hearing today, you're hearing love's voice. You're hearing love's voice. What I'm sharing with you is love's voice. Love cannot tell you but the truth. Love cannot be but the light. Love cannot be but a time of rejoicing, a time of jubilee, a time of remembrance, a time of celebration. Like the prodigal son, when he came home, the father said, what? Let's have a celebration. He that was lost has been found. He that was blind can now see of who he is. He see that he's a loved child. Do you see today that you are a loved child and nothing else? None of your experiences matter. How you got here, your parents, your family, your schooling, your upbringing, your culture, your nation, your conditioning, none of that matters. Once you come into this moment, once you come into this now moment where you embrace the reality of who you are, nothing else matters. It all dissipates. All the pain, all the hurt, all the discouragement, it's all healed in this moment. The mind is healed. Everything becomes this bright, one beautiful light of love. So today we practice making free. See, your mind, that's what needs freedom. Your mind, the prodigal mind. It says, we make your mind free of all the laws that you think you must obey. Jesus said there's only one law. That's the law of love. And we're to love the Lord God with all our heart, with all our mind, with all our soul, with all our strength. And what else? We must love love our neighbors, love all humanity as we love ourselves. How do we love ourselves? Love is all there is. There's no judgment. There's no guilt. There's no death. There's no hell. There's no demons. There's no devils. There's no enemies. Love don't have room for any of that. Love has no room for any, where love is all encompassing. There's no room for nothing else. But we put so much emphasis on other things in the name of God that don't bring us peace, that don't bring us joy, but actually promotes fear and division and separation. That's all part of it. The world's thinking. So today we practice making free our mind of all the laws that we think we must obey, of all the limits under which we live, and all the changes that we think are part of human destiny. We free ourselves from those things. Christ has made us free from all that. We're free from every requirement. We're not required to do anything because there's only one thing. So we're not required to do anything. So any place there's requirement placed on you. Well, there's requirements from wherever they come from. The laws of the world, they don't bring you the revelation of love. There are no requirements in God. It says, so today we take the largest single step this course requires in our advancement towards the establishment of the goal. If we achieve just the faintest glimmering of what love means today, if we can just get a little bit of what I'm talking about, it says we have advanced in distance without measure and in time beyond the count of years to our release. Let us together then be glad to give some time to this idea today and understand there is no better use of our time than this: to embrace, to contemplate, to mutter to oneself, to meditate on this reality of love. That God is the only love there is. That love is the only love there is. That you are the only love that there is. So for 15 minutes twice today, escape from every law in which you now believe. Open your mind and rest. The world that seems to hold you prisoner can be escaped by anyone who does not hold it dear. Withdraw all the value you have placed upon its meager offerings and senseless gifts, and let the gift of love, let the gift of God replace them all. Take 15 minutes today, twice, to meditate on this and release everything but this one idea. Call to your Father, certain that his voice will answer. He himself has promised this, and he himself will place a spark of truth within your mind wherever you give up a false belief. And we still have them. We're still cleaning the house out. It says a dark illusion. We still have them. We're cleaning it out. It says of our own reality and what love means. We give up what we thought love meant. We give up all illusions about the world. We give up all false beliefs we had about ourselves and about others. It says God will shine through our idle thoughts today and help us understand the truth of love. In loving gentleness, God will abide with us as we allow his voice to teach loving meaning to us, to our clean and open mind. So here we stand with an open mind and we embrace the reality that there is no love but God. And we release every illusion, every idle thought, every dream of separation, every idle thought, every dark illusion that we have called our own reality. Everything that we have made, everything we have dreamed up, every place we have tried to go and find peace, we let it all go in this moment and allow the loving gentleness to abide with us as we allow the voice to teach love's meaning to us, bring it into a mind that has said yes to the truth. And God will bless the lesson with his love. God will bless us in these moments today as we give ourselves to ponder this reality. He said, let us give thanks today that we are spared a future like the past. We don't have to relive the past anymore. We don't have to live in anxiety and fear and in sickness and disease and pain and suffering anymore. We don't have to live below our natural inheritance, which is love present. The end of that is now, never to go back. We don't have to. It says, today we leave the past behind us, no more to be remembered, and we raise our eyes upon a different present, where a future dawns unlike the past in every attribute. The world in infancy is newly born to us. We are born again, and we're seeing now through the veil, not the veil, but we're seeing through the filters of love. And we will watch it grow in health and strength to shed its blessings upon all who come to learn, to cast aside the world they thought was made in hate to be love's enemy. The world now becomes our friend. The world now becomes the holiest place in the entire universe. The place where we saw dread and anger and hatred and vitriol, it becomes the holiest place of all. Because now we're seeing through the eyes of love. We're seeing through the mind of Christ. We're seeing through God's vision. It says, and we will watch it grow, health and strength, and shed its blessings upon all who come to learn to cast aside the world they thought was made in hate to be love's enemy. Now are they all made free, or now are we made free along with us? Now are they all our brothers? Now are they in God's love, all humanity. When we embrace the reality that there is love, there is no love but God's, and God's love is all encompassing. God's love is everywhere present. That means that what? God's love is in everyone. We see everyone for who they really are, regardless of how they see themselves. So they are free along with us. So there's no hell to send them to. There's no curse to put on them. How can you put a curse on someone? You would have to be putting a curse on love, because they are love. How can we? How can we call something demonic or something? How can we? How can we judge it all? We will remember that throughout the day, because we cannot leave a part of us outside of love if we would love ourselves. You cannot leave one human being outside of love if you would love yourself, because now you know there's only one love. So that's what it means to love everyone. It doesn't mean to love what everyone does that does not promote love. We understand that they're crying out for love when people are operating in fear, in hatred. They're crying out for love. They are experiencing that which is an illusion. They're experiencing hatred. They're suffering. We don't add to their suffering, but what? We become a light and a way out of their suffering, but not judging them, but seeing them as the love that they are. We hold the place of love for them so they can hold the place of love for themselves. So at least 3 times an hour today, think of one person who makes the journey with you and who came to learn what you must learn. Think of one person. that's in your purview, one person that's in your life. Think of them. And as you bring this person to your mind, give that person this message from you, from your true self, from your loving self. Say about this person, I bless you, brother, sister, with the love of God, which I would share with you because I am a part of that love of God, and so are you. For I would learn the joyous lesson that there is no love but God, and yours, and mine, and everyone's. There is no love but God's. That is truly what we call one love, one faith, one hope, one reality. Oh, what a lesson. Now understand what it means. If we capture this lesson today, there's no need for any other lesson. But if we reject, if we continue to resist this oneness that we share, we will continue to suffer. We will continue to wander into darkness. We will continue to see with the blocks before us. And so we walk in blindness. And we'll be led by separation and fear and hatred. And it would lead us into dark places. It would lead us into pig pens. It would lead us into pain and suffering. But that day can be over right now as we embrace this reality. It's the largest step it says we have to take in our advancement toward our goal. Accept this reality and you accept all of reality, because this is all encompassing. This one idea that God is the only love that there is. And because of that, because you are in God, because you are born of God, because you are God's only creation, because you and God are one, everything that love offers, love's presence, everything that it offers, you'll begin to experience it in a way that will absolutely transform your entire being. And I have to drink to that. Thank you so much for being with me today. I know this has been a lengthy lesson, but a very important lesson. And but we got more to go. We got hundreds more to go. Lessons. And this is it says the largest one of them all. Wow. So we've been to the mountaintop. So go out today and what? Be your loving self and extend that love to everyone else. Everyone, no exception. Okay? Namaste. We love you so much. These lessons, again, are being provided by Truly Foundation, a nonprofit organization that my lovely wife, Yolanda, and I have founded. And we are so devoted to the advancement, to the sharing of these advanced teachings so people can wake up. People can wake up and begin to walk in the purpose of God, begin to understand that they are part of God's plan for salvation. Wow. And that your life has really deep meaning and good purpose. Okay? Thank you. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.